Hello students, myself Monotosh Dey, your English helpline on the go. Today I shall discuss a poem from Beehive of Standard 9. The poem under discussion today is The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Before I begin, let me give you a short introduction of the poet, which will be followed by the theme of the poem, stanza-wise explanation and poetic devices used in the poem. So, dear students, let's begin. Four times Pulitzer Prize winner in poetry and recipient of more than 40 honorary degrees from many colleges and universities. In his poems, he depicted life as he saw around him and in a language that was simple and familiar to the common man. Robert Frost gained popularity in America after he returned from England, where he had found publisher for his works. His first book of poems, A Boy's Will, was published within a few months of moving to England, followed by North of Boston a year later. Now let's move on to the theme of the poem. The Road Not Taken is a poem which can be related to life. The road in the poem is a metaphor for life. Our life is like a road in which we travel for many years. Fork in the road is a career choice for each one of us. We should be careful at every fork of our life. Whatever we shall be tomorrow is due to our decisions today. We should be judicious and careful before taking our decisions. Once a decision is taken, we cannot undo it, and it has a deep impact in our life. The Road Not Taken is a poem which is relevant in our life as well. The road not taken is the road which the poet did not take, as he thought that he would take it some other day. Metaphorically speaking, once we take our decisions in life, it's final and we cannot undo it. Therefore, every important decision that we take in our life should be taken with careful thought and precision. Dear students, now let's move on to the stanza-wise explanation of the poem. Let's begin with the first stanza. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both, and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Dear students, as you can see on your screen, the vocabulary is given diverged, is given separated and took a different direction, yellow wood, undergrowth. So yellow wood refers to a forest with decomposing leaves. Okay, it's an autumn season, therefore the leaves of the tree appear to be yellow. And undergrowth means here dense growth of plants and bushes. Okay, now let's move on to the explanation part of this stanza. Once the poet was passing through a wood. After going some distance, he came across two divergent roads. The poet is regretful as he could not travel both the roads. As a human being, it is not possible that he could travel both the roads at the same time. Therefore, he had to choose one of these roads and be one traveler. But before he took one road, he was examining both the roads very carefully. He could see the first road as far as his eyes could permit him. What he saw was that the first road bent in the bushy forest after some distance. Now let's move on to the next stanza. Then took the other just as fair and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, passing there had worn them really about the same. Dear students, as you can see on the screen, fair refers to as good as the other one. Better claim means better choice or better option. Wanted where refers to second road which had not been used by the travelers so far. Warn them really about the same refers to the condition of the second road, which will also be the same as the first road when the people will start traveling through it. Okay, now let's move on to the explanation part of the stanza. The poet then started looking at the second road and examined it carefully like the first road. The second road appeared to be almost same to him like the first road. But he came to the conclusion that the second road is perhaps a better option as it looks grassy and wanted people to walk over it. As well as very few people have so far traveled through the second road. Therefore, the poet has decided to take the second road instead of the first road. Therefore, he decided to take the second road, although he says that the second road also looks like the first road in future. The poet says so because when many people will walk through the second road in future, it will become exactly the same trodden road like that of the first road. Trodden means the road which is already walked over and over again. Now let's move on to the next stanza. And both that morning equally lay in leaves, no steps had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. Equally lay refers to both the roads in the morning looked similar. Trodden black means no human footsteps had made the way dirty. Now let's move on to the explanation part of the poem of this stanza, in fact, stanza 3. The poet says that both the roads on that morning looked almost identical as both of them were covered with leaves and no human beings had traveled through both the roads on that morning. Therefore, both the roads looked exactly the same on that morning. But as the poet had already decided to take the second road, he had kept aside the first road for some other day. When he said that he would take the second road some other day, he was quite sure that he could not keep up his promise, as once he started taking the second road, he could never come back to the fork and take the first road once again. He knew quite well that one road leads to another, and therefore he had doubt in his mind whether he could travel through the first road any day in future. Okay, so now let's move on to the next. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Dear students, as you can see on your screen, sigh refers to deep breath, hence refers to henceforth, that is in the future. Now let's move on to the explanation part of this stanza. The poet says that in future, with a heavy heart, that he would be telling people that in a wood during the autumn season there was a fork from which two roads branched out. Fork means the point from where roads branch out. So this is the fork. Okay, he had traveled the road which was less explored by people. His decision to travel through the second road had made all the differences in his life. The poet further says that whatever he is today is because of the earlier decisions in the past. His decision in the past has made all the differences in his future life. So dear students, now let's move on to the recapitulation part of the poem. While traveling in a forest, the poet comes across a fork from where two roads branched out. The poet took the second road as it was grassy and wanted people to walk over it. The poet feels regretful as he is not able to take the first road. He kept the first road for some other day, but he knew that one road leads to another and therefore he cannot travel the first road any day in future. The poet says that many years later, he would tell people with a heavy heart that in a forest there were two roads, but he could not travel both as it is impossible to travel both the roads at the same time. Why the poet feels regretful is because of the fact that he wanted to know how his life would turn out to be if he had traveled the other road. Therefore, he had some sigh in his heart. But the poet is optimistic that whatever road he had taken in the past had made all the differences in his life. That's all about the explanation of the poem. Now let's move on to the literary devices used in the poem. Dear students, as you can see on your screen, first is symbolism, two roads which represents two or more choices in our life. Then anaphora. Anaphora here refers to, as you can see, and repeated at the beginning of lines 2, 3 and 4. Alliteration is the repetition of the consonant sounds in successive or near successive words. So wanted, where W is repeated in successive words. Okay, and then first for F is repeated in successive words. So these are the examples of alliteration. Then repetition, ages is repeated in ages and ages hands. And then another example, two roads diverged in a wood. This sentence is also repeated in stanza first and fourth. Okay, so dear students, that brings us to the end of the explanation of this poem, The Road Not Taken. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, kindly do it now, and also press the bell icon for notification of every new video that I upload for you.